Okay, so now we're getting ready to finish our basket. So as you can see here, I just ended on 2 tacks. So I have two tacks here. I have the end of my cord, and you want to make sure that you have plenty of yarn to be able to finish your basket off. So if you have like a little tiny piece of yarn, I would say make sure that you tack on and you add an extra piece as we've been doing, just so you make sure you have plenty of yarn. So the end of my cord here is a little frayed out. So as we're getting ready to finish the basket, you want to leave like maybe 2 inches or so. Sorry, over here. You want to leave about 2 inches or so, just so you'll have plenty of room to be able to finish. So what I'm going to do is I want to create a nice long tapered edge on this cord. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut a nice long angle up my cord. Okay, so what that's going to do is that's going to give me a nice gradual end to my basket. Okay, so it's going to be a little frayed, it's going to be a little kind of crazy, but just kind of bear with me. So you see there's going to be a nice kind of gradual end. Okay, so I have my basket, I have my string, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just continue to tack down. So I'm not wrapping yarn just around the cord. I'm going to continue to just go through this string, this piece here. So I'm going to go over, and I'm going to continue to tack this piece down. Maybe I do it this way, that'll be better. Okay, so I'm going to continue to tack, keeping it nice and tight. So I'm doing it this way so that you can see what I'm doing. Get rid of all these fuzzies here. Okay, but I'm trying to keep these nice and tight. And what this is doing is it's going to be creating this nice kind of finished edge for the top of my basket. Okay, I'm going to keep on going. Now, if you have a nice gradual taper, the yarn, as I'm pulling it tight, it shouldn't fall down my slope. You want to make sure it's a nice kind of long gradual taper, so that as I pull this yarn in, it's not going to kind of slide down. Okay, so I'm going to pause this for a second as I just kind of finish up getting to the edge of this. But all I'm gonna do is just continue to tack, and you see that I'm going into the one right underneath, and kind of have these nice, they're right side by side, they're very, very tight. Okay, so I'm gonna take a pause and then I'll stop you when I get to the end here. Okay, so you can see here that I've gotten all the way down that taper. I'm gonna do 2 more pulls. 1. Okay, and that covered up the last of my cord. So you can see here I have this nice kind of finished edge here. My cord, all my strings are nice in a row. You can see the kind of tapers and ends. I have my cord nice and covered. There's no white showing through. If I have any issues in my white, I can take my needle and kind of like separate the yarn a little bit and get it that way. But on the inside of my basket, what I'm going to do is I'm right by one of the taper or the tacks from the row before. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my, let me see if I can show you this better. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go around. I'm going to go around that tack. I gotta go this way. Try to go around that. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna pull this through. Okay, so I have like a little loop here. So I just made myself a little loop, and then I'm gonna go and I'm going to pull through that. I'm gonna make a little knot around that stitch. So you see I have like a little knot around that stitch. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my yarn, my needle, and as best I can, I'm going to push it through some of these stitches that I just did. I'm gonna kind of come out the other side, so you should see I just kind of fed my needle through here. I'm going to try and get this up. Be careful. It's a little difficult to do, but you want to push it through and pull it out. And what that's going to do, it's a little awkward, but once you get it through, here we go. I'm going to pull this through, and if you can see, it's going to kind of pull that knot tight. And now I have the end of my yarn is behind these stitches, and now what I can do is I can cut this off, and that's buried kind of behind those stitches in my basket. So I made a little knot over here, so that's nice and tied down, and then I took the end piece and I tucked it in the pieces in the stitches here, so that it's nice and tight and tucked away, and it's not going to come loose. What I like to do is I like to take my needle and I like to go around my basket and just kind of make sure that I don't have any white showing through. So like if I have here is a stitch that's a little too far away, I just kind of nudge it with my needle. Like if I don't like the way that these two are kind of spaced apart, I just kind of nudge it. Same thing, here's a little white. I can just take my needle, just kind of push it aside. Okay, but you want to make sure that there's no white of your cord showing through. Your stitches are nice and neat. Okay, the inside of your basket's good, and then your basket should sit and stay firmly by itself, and it should be nice and tight. It shouldn't be like flopping around. It should be nice and sturdy. Okay, and then that's it. That's how you finish up your basket.